Well, good evening, everybody. Taylor Plott here with your latest forecast going into Thursday, October 17th. Still, that fall weather continues across the area, and we have a greater chance at some frost later on tonight into early tomorrow morning. Yes, the first frost will be coming to a lot of places here in the state of Alabama as we go into your Thursday morning. Let's take a look at your forecast, starting off with the Weather Service hazards that they have going on out there. You see the dark blue regions further to the north. Those are freeze warnings in effect, but we are under that kind of light blue area. That's a frost advisory that extends all the way down towards the Montgomery area, just north of Montgomery and Auburn. That's kind of where that cutoff line is for seeing some of that frost possible as we go into tomorrow morning, and then that works its way on up into parts of Georgia, into the Carolinas, and then up into Virginia, and we even have an area to the west under frost advisory, parts of the Ozarks over there in Arkansas, southern Missouri, and into parts of eastern Oklahoma. So these are the temperatures tonight that is giving us that frost advisory in place. Lows tonight, at least in the cities, talking about places like Huntsville down to Coleman, Jasper, Florence, Muscle Shoals, Scottsboro. Those places should be able to see lows tonight into tomorrow morning, generally around 35 to 36 degrees. Now, that's generally where we start seeing that frost potential. Anytime you get down to about 35 or 36, that's a good chance that you might see a frost if the winds are calm and the skies are clear. That's usually your good frost potential there. But there is a chance that some places in the very rural parts of the outlying areas, they could be getting close to maybe 32 or 33 degrees. You notice Fayetteville up there just across the state line, 34 degrees as a possible low overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. So there's a chance that some places might see a light freeze if you're out in the rural parts of the counties, out into northern Alabama, and then into parts of southern Tennessee as well. There could be some places that get down to around 32 degrees. As you head further to the south, places like Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Auburn, Opelika, Montgomery, even down towards Mobile, lows should generally be in the low to mid 40s for you guys. So no real frost potential, I think, in the cities for Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, but I think the counties, the outlying areas outside of the cities, down towards probably just north of Montgomery, has the best chance at seeing some of the frost potential in central Alabama. Now, on your Thursday afternoon forecast, things are looking fantastic. Abundant sunshine. Again, temperatures will be a little bit warmer, getting up into the low and mid 60s for a large portion of the state. Some upper 60s, around 70 degrees is expected further towards the Gulf Coast area. Winds tomorrow, not too bad. Definitely less breezy than it was today. Should see sustained winds around maybe 5 to 10 miles per hour at most. Not really seeing any gust potential for tomorrow. Now, Friday morning, I don't really think there's a big chance at a frost, but I think there's probably still some isolated pockets out there in the rural areas that will probably see some light frost on your Friday morning. So just watch out for that. Most places should be in the upper 30s to around 40 degrees for your Friday morning. Friday afternoon, definitely on the warmer side once again. Things will just progressively get warmer and warmer as we head into the weekend and into next week. Temperatures for your Friday afternoon should be in the upper 60s and lower 70s across the area. Here's a look at your temperature forecast over the next several days. Like I mentioned, we'll be getting into the 70s later on this week and weekend, and then eventually we'll be getting up into the 80s once again as we get into next week. This is above average for this time of year. Usually we should be in the mid and upper 70s for average highs. As we get into the Birmingham area, it's 70s and 80s again as we get into the weekend and next week. Overnight lows should be climbing back into the 40s and 50s during that time as well. Tuscaloosa also seeing temperatures getting back up into the 80s once again. Could be mid 80s once we get into Thursday, and overnight lows again in the 40s and 50s. Quick look at the tropics. We are still watching what is Invest 94L out there in the now western Atlantic, and the National Hurricane Center continues to lower the odds of development over the next 7 days, which is a very good sign to see. Now, what this is been battling is a lot of dry air, but now it's starting to it will be getting into a higher shear environment once it gets closer to Puerto Rico and Hispaniola, as we'll have some troughs nearby that will be increasing the amount of shear. So the chances that this actually develops into our next tropical system continue to get lower and lower and lower. We still have that spot over in the southwestern Caribbean that still has a 20% chance of development. I really don't see that becoming a tropical system either, but if it does, like I've been talking about the past few days, it will just continue to move west into Central America, so that's not an issue for us here in the United States. Here's a closer look at Invest 94L. You see that there was a decent amount of thunderstorm activity earlier on today, but starting to see a little bit less and less of showers and storms in and around this circulation. So that just tells me that dry air is still impacting the system, and it's starting to lose its time frame for potentially becoming an actual tropical depression or tropical storm. If it does, this is the general path it will take. And even if it doesn't develop into a tropical system, this wave will still move in this direction. So it's not like it has to become a tropical system to go in these areas. It's just whatever it is, whatever it is going to be designated, whether it's just a tropical wave or a tropical depression, it's going to be moving in these general locations, and it will continue to move to the west. It will continue to move towards the Lesser Antilles. It will continue to move towards Puerto Rico and parts of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. This batch of model guidance has it kind of going north of the Caribbean as opposed to actually getting into the Caribbean. But notice what happens once it gets kind of towards the Hispaniola area. There's a little bit of a wide variety of what happens, and I think this all depends on how strong it gets. If it remains fairly weak, it should turn a little bit more to the north and just kind of sit around there and will eventually get impacted by another trough moving in. If it does get a little bit stronger, notice how you see some more of those yellows and oranges across the Caribbean. That's where it could make its way a little bit further to the west. I still don't think this is going to be a impactful system to the United States. The cold fronts, high pressures, and troughs should just basically keep this away, very far away from the mainland here in the United States. But there's a chance that this could sneak further into the western Caribbean and could impact parts of either Mexico or parts of Central America. But again, that's way far out there, and really the chance that this becomes a tropical system continues to get less and less and less. So right now, I would suspect that it moves into either the far western Atlantic or very far northern Caribbean, and it will just kind of sit there for a little bit and then could eventually get picked up by our next trough, and that disturbance just continues to track to the northeast and just kind of, it goes away. It doesn't really do anything. So that is a look at the tropics out there. Again, there's Invest 94L that we're still watching out there in the Atlantic. That's your forecast for your Thursday. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening tonight and have a great Thursday out there. We'll do this again tomorrow night as we take a look at your forecast going into Friday.